The crystal chandelier swayed above the grand ballroom. A champagne glass shattered against marble. Then silence fell like a blade. Nobody moved. Not the diplomats in their tailored suits. Not the orchestra frozen mid-note. Not even the photographers who had been capturing smiles just seconds before. Queen Anne lay on the floor.
Ow.
Her hand pressed against her cheek. Her diamond tiara had slipped sideways. A thin line of blood traced down from her lip. Standing over her was Camilla, the Queen's own sister-in-law. Her chest heaved with breath. Her eyes were wild. Her hands trembled at her sides. "You had no right," Camilla whispered. Her voice cracked. No right to say that. The words hung in the air like smoke. Around them, 300 guests stood frozen in shock. The annual royal gala had turned into something else entirely. Something darker. Something no one could have predicted. 2 members of the royal guard stepped forward. Their boots echoed on the polished floor. Their faces were stone. They had one duty now, and rank did not matter. Not tonight, before we continue with what happened next. If you're drawn into this story, hit that subscribe button. These true emotional tales don't come around every day. You won't want to miss what happens next. The taller guard reached Camilla first. "Ma'am, I need you to come with us." Camilla didn't resist. She didn't speak. She only looked down at Queen Anne, still on the floor, still bleeding. Something flickered in Camilla's eyes. Regret? Defiance? No one could tell. Queen Anne's private secretary rushed forward with a cloth napkin. The Queen waved her away. Slowly, painfully, she rose to her feet. Her dress, a midnight blue silk, worth more than most people's homes, was wrinkled and stained. "Everyone out," the Queen said. Her voice was quiet but absolute. Now, the guests began to move like a slow tide. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Phones appeared from pockets and purses. Camera flashes blinked like lightning. Security guards moved quickly to block the exits, confiscating devices, demanding silence. But it was too late. The damage was done. In the age of hidden cameras and instant messages, nothing stayed secret for long. Camilla allowed herself to be led toward the side entrance. Her heels clicked softly against the floor. She walked with her head high, shoulders back. If she felt shame, she didn't show it. If she felt fear, it was buried deep. Behind her, Queen Anne touched her swollen lip. She stared at the blood on her fingertips, as if seeing something impossible. Her husband, King Edward, appeared at her side. His face was pale. His hand shook as he reached for her. "Anne," he breathed. "What did she say to you?" The Queen closed her eyes. Not here. Outside, the November wind howled against the palace walls. Rain began to fall, drumming against the ancient stones. Inside, the royal guard escorted Camilla down a corridor lined with portraits of dead kings and queens. Their painted eyes seemed to watch her pass. One guard spoke into his radio. "Subject secured. Moving to the West Wing holding room." Camilla finally spoke. "I want to see my children." "That's not possible right now, ma'am. They'll hear about this. They'll see it on the news." The guard said nothing. What could he say? She was right. By morning, the whole world would know. The headlines were already being written. The story was already spreading like wildfire through the darkness, and nobody yet knew. The real reason why it happened. Nobody knew what Queen Anne had whispered to Camilla just before the glass shattered. Nobody knew the secret that had been buried for 15 years. The secret that had finally exploded into violence on a cold November night. The palace doors closed behind them. The click of the lock echoed like a gunshot. The holding room smelled of old wood and lemon polish. A single lamp cast shadows across the walls. Camilla sat in a straight-backed chair, her hands folded in her lap. She had not been handcuffed. Not yet. But 2 guards stood at the door, and she knew what this was. Arrest. The word tasted bitter in her mind. She was a duchess. She had married into royalty 23 years ago. She had raised 3 children in the public eye. She had smiled for cameras, cut ribbons, attended funerals and weddings and christenings. She had done everything right, until tonight. The door opened. Chief Inspector Hartley entered, followed by a younger woman carrying a tablet and recording device. Hartley was in his 50s, gray at the temples, with eyes that had seen too much. He sat down across from Camilla and folded his hands on the table. "Your Grace," he said carefully, "I need to ask you some questions." Camilla met his gaze. "I know what I did. Do you understand the severity of assaulting the Queen?" "Yes. Do you understand that regardless of your position, this matter will be investigated fully?" "I expect nothing less." Hartley studied her face. There was no tears, no hysteria, just a cold, quiet acceptance. It unnerved him. "What happened tonight?" He asked. Camilla was silent for a long moment. The clock on the wall ticked loudly. Outside, she could hear the rain growing heavier. "She told me something," Camilla finally said. "Something I never knew. Something that destroyed everything I believed." "What did she tell you?" Camilla's jaw tightened. "That's between Anne and me. Not anymore. The moment you struck her, it became a legal matter. Then arrest me, charge me. But I won't speak about what she said." Hartley leaned back in his chair. This was going to be difficult. He had dealt with royals before. They protected each other fiercely, even in conflict. But this was different. This was public, violent, impossible to sweep away. Meanwhile, in the Queen's private chambers, a doctor examined her face. The cut on her lip was small, but deep. It would need stitches. Her cheek was already bruising, turning purple and yellow beneath her pale skin. King Edward paced behind her like a caged animal, his fists clenched and unclenched. She should be in a cell, properly, not some comfortable room. "Edward, please," Anne said quietly. "She struck you. In front of the entire court? In front of ambassadors and press? Do you understand what this means?" "I understand perfectly." "Then why are you so calm?" Anne looked at herself in the mirror. The swelling made her face look strange, unfamiliar. She touched the bruise gently and winced. "Because I deserved it," she whispered. Edward stopped pacing. "What?" Anne closed her eyes. "I told her the truth. Finally, after all these years." And it broke her. "What truth?" "Anne, what are you talking about?" The Queen turned to face her husband. Tears gathered in her eyes, but did not fall. The truth about her daughter. About Caroline? Edward's face went white. He stumbled backward, gripping the edge of a chair for support. "Oh," he breathed. "You didn't. She had a right to know. It was decided 15 years ago. We all agreed. The council agreed. It was for the good of the family." "It was a lie," Anne said. Her voice grew stronger. "A terrible lie. And I'm tired of carrying it." In the holding room, Camilla stared at the wall. Her mind replayed the moment over and over. Queen Anne leaning close during the toast, her perfume mixing with champagne and roses. Her lips near Camilla's ear. "Your daughter didn't die in that accident. She's alive." 5 words. 5 simple words that shattered a world. Camilla had turned slowly. She had looked into Anne's eyes, searching for the lie. But there was none. Only truth. Terrible, devastating truth. "Where?" Camilla had whispered. "Switzerland. A private facility. She's been there since the crash." "Why?" "Because she was damaged. Brain injury. They said she would never recover. Never be the same. So the family decided it was better if Camilla never heard the rest." The rage came like a wave. Her hand moved before her mind could catch up. The slap echoed through the ballroom like thunder, and now here she was. Sitting in this room, her daughter alive, hidden away for 15 years, erased from existence because she was no longer perfect, no longer useful to the crown. Camilla looked at Inspector Hartley. "I want to see my daughter. That's my only request. That's not possible at this time. Then we have nothing more to discuss." Outside the palace, news vans gathered like vultures. Reporters stood in the rain, speaking urgently into cameras. Social media exploded with theories and accusations. The palace press office worked frantically to control the narrative, but the story was too big, too shocking. By midnight, the hashtag was trending worldwide. And in a quiet facility in the Swiss Alps, a young woman with dark hair and vacant eyes sat by a window, watching snow fall. She didn't know that her mother had just discovered she was alive. She didn't remember her mother at all. Dawn came gray and cold. Camilla had not slept. She sat in the same chair, watching the window slowly brighten. The guards had changed shifts twice. Fresh faces, same stiff postures, same silence. Her phone had been taken. Her jewelry removed. Even her shoes were gone, leaving her in stockinged feet on the cold floor. They had not charged her yet. They were waiting. But for what? The door opened. It was not Inspector Hartley this time. It was Thomas, her oldest son. He was 28, tall like his father, with Camilla's dark eyes. Those eyes were red now. Swollen from crying or rage, she couldn't tell. Mother. His voice broke on the word Camilla stood. Thomas, you shouldn't be here. Where else would I be? He moved toward her, but a guard stepped between them. Thomas stopped, fists clenched. They won't tell me anything. Just that you've been detained. That you struck the Queen? Tell me it's not true. Camilla met her son's eyes. It's true. Why? Why would you do something so he couldn't finish? The words died in his throat. Sit down, Camilla said softly. Please. Thomas sat. The guard retreated to the door, but stayed close. Camilla took the chair across from her son and reached for his hands. He let her take them. What I'm about to tell you, she began, will change everything you think you know about our family. She told him about Caroline, his sister, the one they had all mourned 15 years ago. The state funeral, the tiny white coffin, the roses on the grave, all of it a lie. Thomas listened with his mouth open. His face shifted through disbelief, shock, horror. When Camilla finished, he pulled his hands away. No, he whispered. That's impossible. We buried her. I was there. I carried flowers. You carried flowers to an empty grave. Why? Why would they do this? Because she was no longer perfect. No longer fit to be a royal. Better to bury the mistake than admit it existed. Thomas stood abruptly. His chair scraped against the floor. And you never knew? In 15 years, you never suspected. How could I? Everyone told me she was gone. I saw the casket. I grieved. I destroyed myself with grief. Camilla's voice finally cracked. Do you know what it does to a mother? To lose a child? To blame yourself every day? And now, to discover it was all a lie? Thomas turned away. His shoulders shook. When he spoke again, his voice was cold. You still shouldn't have hit her. Probably not. Hey, they're calling for your arrest. Public trial. Some are even calling for you to be stripped of your title. Let them. And Caroline? What about her? I'm going to bring her home. They won't let you. The family will fight this. They'll say she's better off where she is. Camilla stood and faced her son. Then they'll have to go through me. Across the palace, an emergency meeting of the Royal Council was underway. 12 people sat around a polished table. King Edward at the head. Queen Anne beside him, her face now bandaged. Ministers, lawyers, advisors, all grim-faced. The damage is catastrophic, said Lord Pembridge, the Queen's senior counsel. Video footage is everywhere. We cannot deny it happened. We cannot spin this as anything other than what it is. Then what do we do? Edward asked. We charge her publicly. We show that no one is above the law, not even family and the girl. Someone asked quietly. Carolyn. What do we do about her? The room fell silent. It was the question no one wanted to ask. The secret they had protected for so long was now exposed. Not publicly yet, but it would be. Camilla would make sure of it. Queen Anne finally spoke. We bring her home. Every head turned toward her. Your Majesty, Pembridge began. That would be admitting that we made a mistake. Yes, a terrible, unforgivable mistake. Anne's voice was steady, despite the pain in her face. We erased a child because she was inconvenient, because she was damaged. We told her mother she was dead and hid her away like a shameful secret. And now it's time to make it right. Scandal will be enormous, another advisor said. The press will crucify us. Perhaps we deserve it, Anne replied. Edward looked at his wife with something like shock. You're serious? Completely? Do you understand what this means? The questions we'll face? The investigations? Yes, the family will never forgive you. Touched her swollen lip. Good. Perhaps they shouldn't. In the holding room, Thomas prepared to leave. He stood at the door, looking back at his mother. I need time to process this. I understand, but Mother, when this is over, we're bringing Caroline home together. You and me. Whatever it takes. Camilla felt tears sting her eyes for the first time. Thank you. After Thomas left, Inspector Hartley returned. He carried a folder. His expression was unreadable. Your Grace, I've been instructed to inform you that charges are being prepared. Assault of the monarch. You'll be formally arrested within the hour. Camilla nodded. I expected as much. However, Hartley paused. I've also been informed that Queen Anne has requested something unusual. What? She wants to speak with you, privately. Before the arrest is finalized. Camilla's heart pounded. When? Now. The two women would face each other again, but this time there would be no audience. No cameras. No guards listening. Just two women who had both lost too much, and perhaps, just perhaps, a chance to begin making things right. But forgiveness would not come easily. Not for something like this. They met in the Queen's private study. No guards inside, though two stood at the door. The room smelled of old books and jasmine tea. Rain still fell outside, streaking the tall windows. Queen Anne sat in a high-backed chair. The bandage on her face was stark white against her skin. Her hands rested in her lap, fingers laced together. She did not stand when Camilla entered. Camilla walked slowly across the Persian rug. She stopped a few feet away. For a long moment, neither woman spoke. Sit, Anne finally said. Camilla sat. The chair felt too soft, too comfortable for this conversation. I'm sorry, Anne said. Camilla's jaw tightened. For which part? Hiding my daughter? Letting me believe she was dead? Or telling me the truth in front of 300 people? All of it. Your apology means nothing. I know. Han touched her bandaged lip carefully. But I offer it anyway. Silence stretched between them. Outside, a clock tower chimed 7. Morning was fully here now. The palace would be waking. Staff preparing breakfast. Gardeners tending roses. Life continuing as if the world hadn't split open. Why now? Camilla asked. Her voice was rough. Why tell me last night? After 15 years? Anne looked out the window. Because I'm dying. The words hung in the air like stones. Camilla stared at her. What? Pancreatic cancer? Stage 4. I have perhaps 6 months. Maybe less. And he turned back to face her. I wanted to take the secret to my grave. I truly did. But as death approaches, you realize that some secrets are too heavy to carry into darkness. Camilla felt the room tilt. She gripped the arms of her chair. Edward knows? He's known for 3 weeks. Very few others. We plan to announce it next month. And you thought, what? That confession would ease your conscience before you die. Yes. Anne's voice was simple, honest. I thought exactly that. How selfish of me. Camilla stood abruptly. She paced to the window, pressing her forehead against the cool glass. Her breath fogged the pain. You should have told me privately, quietly. Would it have hurt less? No, but I wouldn't have struck you in front of the world. Perhaps I wanted you to strike me. Perhaps I needed the world to see my punishment. Camilla spun around. This isn't about you. This is about Caroline, my daughter, who has been locked away for 15 years, who probably doesn't even remember me. She doesn't, Anne said quietly. The brain damage was severe. She has the mind of a child. She'll never recover. That doesn't mean she deserves to be hidden. I agree. Then help me bring her home. And nodded slowly. That's why I asked to see you. Before they arrest you. Before this becomes even more complicated. She reached for a folder on the side table. These are the documents. Everything about Caroline. Where she is. Her medical history. The arrangements that were made. Camilla took the folder with shaking hands. She opened it. Inside were photographs. A young woman, maybe 23 now, with Camilla's dark hair and the same shape of eyes. But the expression was empty, distant, like looking at a photograph of a stranger. Tears finally came. Camilla's shoulders shook as she stared at the image of her daughter. The child she had mourned. The child who was alive, but lost in a different way. "I'm sorry," Anne said again. "I know it's not enough. It will never be enough." Camilla closed the folder. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Who else knew? Who else lied to me? The king, the royal council. My parents before they died, and the doctors, of course. Not even my husband? Anne hesitated. Michael knew. The floor seemed to drop away. Camilla sat down hard, the folder falling from her hands. No, he agreed with the decision. He thought it was best for the family, best for the crown. He let me grieve. He held me while I cried. He stood beside me at the funeral. Camilla's voice rose. He knew the whole time? Yes. Camilla covered her face with her hands. Her whole world was collapsing. Her marriage, her family, everything she had believed about her life. All lies, all carefully constructed deception. Where is he now? She asked through her fingers. At his estate. We thought it best he not be here. Coward. Yes. Camilla lowered her hands. Her eyes were red but dry now. Something had shifted in her expression. Something hard and cold. I want immunity. Anne blinked. What? For the assault? I want immunity from prosecution. In exchange, I'll handle this quietly. I'll bring Caroline home, but I won't go to the press. I won't destroy the monarchy yet. It's not a decision I can make alone and make them agree. You're the queen. Use your power while you still have it. Anne studied her sister-in-law. This was a different Camilla than the one who had entered. This one was dangerous. This one had nothing left to lose. If I do this, Anne said carefully, you must understand. Caroline's care will be expensive, difficult. She'll need full-time support. The family can help, but I don't want the family's help. I don't want anything from any of you except my daughter. Camilla, do we have a deal or not? Anne was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. I'll speak to the council, but I can't promise find a way. There was a knock at the door. Inspector Hartley's voice came through. Your Majesty, we need to proceed with the arrest. Anne looked at Camilla. I'll need a few hours. You have until noon, Camilla said. She stood and walked to the door, then paused. Anne, I'm glad you're dying. I hope it hurts. Anne flinched but said nothing. She watched Camilla leave, the door closing softly behind her. Then she lowered her head and wept. Not for herself. Not for the cancer eating her alive, but for the child she had helped erase. And for the mother whose grief had been built on lies. The royal council met again at 10 o'clock. This time, the mood was different. Tense. Angry. Queen Anne sat with her back straight despite the pain medication making her drowsy. Immunity is out of the question, Lord Pembridge said. His face was red. She assaulted you in front of witnesses. We cannot simply excuse that, Kennan replied. And we will, Your Majesty. With respect, this sets a dangerous precedent. More dangerous than what we did to that child. Anne's voice cut through the room. More dangerous than erasing a human being because she wasn't convenient? Silence fell. Nobody wanted to speak. Nobody wanted to admit their part in the decision from 15 years ago. But they had all been there. They had all agreed. King Edward shifted in his seat. If we grant immunity, the public will demand answers. They'll want to know why. Then we tell them, Anne said. Tell them what exactly? Everything. The accident. The decision to hide Caroline. The lies we told. All of it. The room erupted. Voices overlapped. Objections flew. This was madness. This was suicide. The monarchy would not survive such a scandal. Anne let them shout. She waited until they exhausted themselves. Then she spoke quietly, and somehow her quiet voice was louder than all their noise. I am dying. In 6 months, perhaps less, I will be gone. And I refuse to die protecting a lie. We will grant Camilla immunity. We will release Carolyn into her mother's care. And we will face the consequences with whatever dignity we have left. The press will destroy us, someone whispered. Then let them, Anne said. We deserve it. At 11:45, Inspector Hartley returned to the holding room. Camilla looked up. She had been staring at the photographs of Caroline, memorizing every detail of this stranger who was her daughter.
Your Grace,
Hartley said. His voice was carefully neutral. The charges had been dropped. You're free to go. Camilla stood slowly. The immunity. Granted. With conditions, you'll sign a non-disclosure agreement regarding palace security details. You'll agree to supervised visits with Caroline initially, and you'll make no public statements about this matter for 6 months. 6 months. How convenient. That's when it expects to die. Hartley said nothing. It wasn't his place to confirm or deny. Fine, Camilla said. Where do I sign? The paperwork took 20 minutes. Camilla's hand shook as she wrote her name. When it was done, Hartley escorted her to a side exit where a car waited. Thomas sat in the back seat. Mother, he said as she climbed in. He hugged her tightly. Thank God, it's not over, Camilla said. We're going to Switzerland today. What? We can't just... Yes, we can. I have all the information. I have permission. We're bringing your sister home. The car pulled away from the palace. Camilla looked back once. She saw Anne standing at a window, watching. Their eyes met across the distance. No words needed. Just a moment of understanding. This changed nothing between them. The wound was too deep. The betrayal to complete. But at least the truth was finally free. The flight to Switzerland took 3 hours. Camilla couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Thomas sat beside her, reading through the medical files. His face grew paler with each page. She won't know us, he said. I know. She might never know us. I know. Mother, are you prepared for this? For what she might be like? Camilla looked out the window at the clouds below. I've mourned her once already. Whatever she is now, she's alive. That's enough. The facility was beautiful in a cold way. Modern glass and steel against snowy mountains. A place designed to hide the inconvenient. The wealthy sent their damaged here, out of sight. Out of mind, Dr. Weber met them in the lobby. He was 50-ish, gray-haired, with kind eyes that had seen too much sadness. Your Grace, I've been expecting you. Where is she? In the garden. She likes to watch the birds. He paused. I should prepare you. Caroline is physically healthy, but mentally she functions at about a 7-year-old level. She doesn't speak much. She doesn't remember her life before the accident. Can I see her? Of course. But please, go slowly. New people can frighten her. They walked through halls that smelled of antiseptic and lavender. Through windows, Camilla saw other residents. Some in wheelchairs, some staring at nothing, all of them hidden away from the world. The garden was enclosed, heated. Snow fell outside the glass dome. But inside it was warm and green. Caroline sat on a bench, feeding breadcrumbs to sparrows. She wore a simple blue dress. Her hair hung loose around her shoulders. Camilla stopped breathing. It was her daughter. Older, changed, but unmistakably her child. Caroline looked up. Her eyes were brown, like Camilla's, but empty of recognition. She smiled vaguely at the strangers, then went back to feeding the birds. Hello, Caroline, Dr. Weber said gently. You have visitors. Caroline didn't respond. A sparrow landed on her hand. She giggled, a childlike sound. Camilla moved forward slowly. She knelt beside the bench, not too close. Hello, sweetheart. Caroline looked at her, really looked at her. For a moment, something flickered in those brown eyes. A shadow of memory, maybe. Or just curiosity, pretty Caroline said, touching Camilla's necklace. Tears streamed down Camilla's face. Yes, pretty. Thomas stood back, his own eyes wet. He watched his mother reach for his sister's hand. Caroline allowed the touch, still focused on the birds. Caroline, Camilla whispered, I'm your mother. I've come to take you home. Caroline tilted her head. Home? Yes, home. Will there be birds? Camilla laughed through her tears. Yes, all the birds you want. Caroline smiled. Okay, it was that simple. That devastatingly simple. 15 years of lies. 15 years of grief. And it came down to a child asking about birds. But it was a beginning. A small one. A fragile one. But real. 3 months later, the world knew everything. Queen Anne had made her announcement from the palace. No script, no carefully crafted words. Just the truth, raw and painful. She confessed to hiding Caroline. She explained the decision. She apologized to Camilla, to the nation, to anyone who had ever trusted the crown. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Protests filled the streets. Calls for abolishing the monarchy echoed through Parliament. The hashtag trended for weeks. News programs ran endless analysis. Psychologists discussed the trauma. Ethicists debated the morality. Everyone had an opinion, but Anne faced it all. Sick and dying, she faced every interview, every question, every accusation. King Edward stood beside her, though their marriage was clearly fractured. Some lies were too big to forgive, even between spouses. Camilla stayed silent. She had promised 6 months, and she kept that promise. Instead, she focused on Caroline. The transition home had been difficult. Caroline didn't understand why she had to leave the facility. She cried for her routines, her familiar spaces, her birds. For 2 weeks, she barely ate. She rocked herself to sleep every night, but slowly, gradually, she began to adjust. Camilla converted a room in her estate into a sanctuary. Plants everywhere. Bird feeders outside every window. Soft music playing constantly. A space designed for peace. Thomas visited every day. He read to Caroline, though she rarely understood the stories. He took her for walks in the garden. He learned her rhythms, her fears, her small joys. One afternoon, as they sat together watching finches, Caroline spoke. "You're my brother." Thomas froze. It was the first time she'd made that connection. "Yes, I'm your brother. I had a brother before." "You did?" "You still do," Caroline frowned, working through the thought slowly. "Before was different." "Yes, before was different. I fell down, and everything changed." Thomas took her hand gently. "Yes, you had an accident, but you're safe now. We're going to take care of you."
Caroline nodded.
She went back to watching the birds, but she didn't let go of his hand. That night, Camilla called her lawyer. Michael, her husband, had not visited once. He had not called. He had simply removed himself from their lives, hiding in his estate, avoiding the scandal. "I want a divorce," Camilla said. "And I want nothing from him except what Caroline needs for her care." "The settlement could be substantial," the lawyer replied. "Given his deception, I don't want revenge. I just want to be free of him." The divorce papers were filed the next day. Meanwhile, Queen Anne's condition worsened. She appeared less frequently in public. When she did, she was visibly frail. The cancer was winning. In her final interview, conducted from her bedroom, a journalist asked if she regretted the confession. Anne smiled weakly. "I regret the lie. Never the truth, even though it may have destroyed the monarchy. Some institutions deserve to be destroyed if they're built on cruelty." "What would you say to Camilla, if you could?" Anne looked directly into the camera. "I would say that she is stronger than I ever was, that she is a better mother than I ever deserved to witness, and that if there is any justice in the universe, Caroline will bring her more joy than I took away." The interview aired on a Tuesday. Anne died on Thursday. The funeral was massive. World leaders attended. The streets were lined with mourners. But the ceremony was cold, formal. There was respect for the office, but little love for the woman Camilla attended, sitting far in the back. She wore black. She did not cry. When it was over, she left without speaking to anyone. That night, she sat with Caroline in the garden room. The moon was bright. Stars scattered across the sky like diamonds. "The Queen died," Camilla said softly. Caroline looked up from her coloring book. What's died? It means she went away. She won't come back. Like the bird that hit the window? Yes, like that. Caroline thought about this. Was she nice? Camilla paused. How do you explain complexity to a child's mind? How do you describe someone who hurt you but also freed you? She tried to be, Camilla finally said. At the end, that's good. Caroline went back to coloring. Months passed. The monarchy survived, barely. Edward stepped down. His son took the throne. Reforms were promised. Investigations launched. The family would never be the same. But in Camilla's home, something small and precious was growing. Caroline learned to trust. She started speaking more. She remembered nothing of her past life. She was building a new one. Simple, safe, full of birds and gardens, and her mother's patient love. One morning, almost a year after that terrible night at the gala, Caroline came to breakfast with a drawing. She held it up proudly. I made this. Camilla looked. It was crude, childlike. 3 figures holding hands? Who are they? That's you. That's Thomas. That's me. It's beautiful, Caroline beamed. Then she added quietly, we're family. Camilla pulled her daughter close. She held her tight, breathing in the scent of her shampoo, feeling the warmth of her body. Alive. Here. Real. Hey. Yes, Camilla whispered. We're family. The world continued its noise. Scandals rose and fell. The news cycle moved on. People forgot, as they always do. But in this house, in this moment, none of that mattered. Camilla had lost 15 years. She had lost trust, marriage, peace. She had gained scandal, notoriety, public judgment. But she had also gained something irreplaceable. She had gained her daughter back. Not the daughter she remembered. Not the perfect royal child who had existed before the accident. But the daughter who was here now, the one who loved birds and drew pictures and smiled when the sun came through the windows just right. And that, Camilla realized, was enough. More than enough. It was everything.